Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Riding Home with Vic. Or Driving Home with Vic. Hey, pick something, we don't know. Me and my buddy Austin, actually today, I cut out early from work about, I don't know, 6 o'clock. I had a few things to do, but we stopped early. I'll do it tomorrow, finish the work up tomorrow. But we took a ride over to East Greenbush. We visited a friend of ours. It's actually, I was just introduced to him maybe 5-6 years back into the trapping world, trapping coyotes and a few other critters. And this man's pretty amazing. He's a pretty talented guy. He's very sharp. I don't know any other words to describe this man. His name's Jim Smith. Jim Smith. He has a son, and he's a carpenter. This guy can build anything and do anything. It's pretty amazing. They're into hot rods and stuff, old Chevys, and he's got his wood shop. I mean, we're talking ventilation system, big shop. Got everything you could think of. Wood lathes, planers, you name it, he's got it. Big band saws, big work tables. He's got mountains of clamps and anything you could think of woodworking. This guy's got. He's a pretty amazing guy. It's a privilege to know him. You know, it's pretty awesome. And he's a down-to-earth dude. And he's a trapper in upstate New York. And we watched him, I don't know how many years ago, but he invited us over to do some coyotes up, to skin them up. We were trying to get a lesson, and we learned some things. We tried it on our own too, me and Austin, and we were pretty successful. What he was telling us was right on the money, and it worked. So we went back to him and tried chatting with him a little more to figure out, you know, for our Adirondack hunting, you know, to help us out, you know, try to be more successful in the woods in the Adirondacks. So he was showing us the last couple years he's been going to Kansas. Not sure of exactly where, but he was telling me that he's trapping areas that are cattle. They have cattle, I guess, and what they do with these cattle, they bring them in from all over the place, and I guess they're feeding fields. They feed the cattle. When a farmer gets, you know, low on feed, they bring them to these areas, and I guess they're big open areas, and they feed the cattle. And I guess some die off, and the coyotes come around, and they really do a licking on the cattle. And then even the ones that perish, the cattle, from whatever reason, they're still worth something for the hide, or I don't know if they're making dog food with the stuff or whatever. So everything has a value to it. You know, even the ones that perish in these fields. So they don't like the coyotes getting on the cattle that pass away, you know. And I don't know how else to say that. Perish, cattle that perish. So the trappers are very valuable to these farmers. Now the guys that have dairy farms and ones that they make the steaks with, you know, cattle. Just coming through a circle here. Yeah, the ones that have the meat or cattle, when they have their babies, calves, coyotes grab them, and the farmers go crazy. I experienced this. I went to Kansas, and I was lucky enough to go with a friend of mine down in Kansas. This is years ago, and they hunt down coyotes with dogs. greyhound dogs. They're not like a greyhound like you're thinking. They're not like they are a race dog, but they're a little different. They're a little bigger, I think, and they're a little more aggressive. I don't know if they raise them up like that, but they're different dogs. And they have these trucks, sometimes trailers, and they run down coyotes on these roads, and they set the dogs, they cut the dogs loose, and the greyhound runs down the coyote, and that's how they hunt them. That's how the farmers in Kansas do it. I experienced it. I seen it. It was amazing. Quick. But what happens is a guy like Jim comes around, goes on these farms, and he gets in there and traps these areas, and the farmers do like them. They save a lot of calves and keeps the coyotes off the perishing cattle. It's really amazing stuff. And he's going to Kansas for 3 weeks again. Let this number sink in. 220 coyotes he trapped in 3 weeks last year. I wish I could get the picture, maybe post it up with this video, but he showed me a picture of, I believe it was 220 coyotes in 3 weeks. On average, it takes about 5 minutes to set his setup, and that's each trap, and he can usually do 100, I think he said, or more a day on average. So it's pretty amazing. I mean, the guy's, he's a savage. I mean, he'll outwork, he's 50 something years old, and he probably outworked me. It's awesome, and it's a privilege to know somebody like this, and I would say easily he's one of the best trappers in upstate New York. Easily. We'll just put it that way. He's one of the best trappers in upstate New York. And my buddy Austin would agree with me, and a lot of other people. If you know this guy, you would agree with it. I'm going to post up a picture that I got of his barn, and he takes the hides and puts them on the barn, and it's unbelievable. It's impressive. And the areas when he was trapping in upstate New York, where we live here, the deer population started coming back. He says he would see carcasses of yearling deer in fields and stuff as he was out there trapping. He would see them, and as he was trapping over the years, the population, instead of seeing them dead in the field, he started seeing deer actually in the fields. So that's pretty awesome. And the coyote, if you don't know it, a coyote will run down deer and any little critters if they're hungry enough. They just run them down, and it's not an easy death. The death is pretty hard. I don't know if I'll put this in the video, but yeah, Jim Smith, it's an honor, brother. If you ever get this video, if your son sends it to you, it's an honor to, and we had a good experience with you tonight. It was awesome, and really appreciate the time for you to explain stuff to us. And we're gonna come see you again. We'll come see you again. This is Riding Home with Vic. So long.